America, it's not really about who we listen to in the media. It's what we know to be true of who we really are. This is the place where we really come together as Americans. And if we can't, I mean, we're just not going to make it. We have to unite on a few things. Can we unite on at least those things that our country is up against? Can we unite on a few things just to move our country forward? I mean, I want maximum freedom and maximum responsibility. Those people who believe in government but know that governments go corrupt. I mean, we all knew it was corrupt under George W. Bush. It's worse now, but it was corrupt then. Can't we agree on that? Can't we unite on that one thing? We have to reach out to our friends and neighbors, and not in anger, but in gentleness and peace. People are going to become more and more angry as the days go by. We need to unite and become one in mind. The lies, the deception has to stop. I've never asked you to take my word on anything, nor will I. The pictures of the internment camps, you know, the buffalo piles. I want you to ask your kids if they know about it. Ask them to do a research paper on it. Do it with them. Do a paper on it. Have them find online the things our government has done that is bad. You know, that's something that the left would always say, oh, no conservative would tell you to do that. I want you to look these things up. I want you to know them. It will, believe it or not, deepen your love and respect for the country when it goes right. It will help you keep the country going right. We did horrible things. Look up the Lakota Indians. Horrible, horrible stuff. I talked about them at the NRA. I said a lot of things at the NRA, and if you haven't seen the speech, I urge you to watch it. It's available at TheBlaze.com, or I think at GlennBeck.com. The transcript is up there now, but you should read it or watch it. Anybody that says, trust me on this, don't even think about it, dismiss everybody, you shouldn't trust them. Make a list of all the people that you truly trust right now. Have your kids do the same. Who do you trust with your money? Ask yourself as a parent, or ask your neighbors. Your money, your Social Security, your sensitive information, your emails, your children's education, your welfare, your health, all of those things. Can you name the individuals that you would just blindly hand over, that you would put your kids into their trust for their welfare, their education, everything else, and not ask any questions? I can't think of anybody. I mean, good friends, I wouldn't do that. I would certainly not hand my kid's future and literally hand my kid over all day without asking any real questions. I certainly wouldn't do that to anybody who still works in Washington. I don't have to believe that the government blew up the World Trade Center or created AIDS. But I know if I sat in a church where they taught that for 20 years, I don't think I'd be the guy who came out and said, hey, the government is good. What I would actually try to do, if I sat in that church for 20 years, and I had all of the friends that he has, what I would actually try to do is try to dismantle it, because this would be evil. All of this would be evil to me. Because if I heard that my whole life, I would despise this. My wife wouldn't be able to get out of here fast enough. Jefferson, Washington, and all the presidents in our past, all of them have warned about getting too cozy with big business, with our government. Warned. Watch the government when they start getting into bed with special interest. It means the government will make laws that are good for those special interests, the banks or GE, but not good for you. Well, isn't that tyranny? Someone from the left should understand this concept. You see, they've always maintained that our biggest danger to society was special interest groups, the banks, big money, big business, or big corporations. Well, that's what's happening now. Big business and big corporations and big military, they're getting together. And I can't figure out how I'm the one now saying that and warning the left. Your friends should be warned, and just ask the question. I'm puzzled. The first president to warn about this, the one who gave the hippie left their whole language, was a Republican, Dwight Eisenhower. I believe Dwight Eisenhower may be the last president who actually really spoke the truth on this issue very openly. Watch.
In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Now,
The
he's not
potential
saying
for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic process.
Okay, so what he's saying is the military, the government, along with business, if you put them together, it's disastrous. The potential for disastrous and misplaced power exists and will persist. It's arrogance or a lie that this president would believe that he has defeated this threat for all time. Eternal vigilance. Eternal vigilance is no longer required? Well, that's what he's telling the students. And why is he telling the students to put their guard down? It's eternal vigilance, and every president on both sides of the aisle have always said that. Is that why he's okay with taking guns away from law-abiding citizens? Because we're safe? Does he recognize the opening that some future tyrant would have if we weren't vigilant at all? Or is it something else? The potential always exists. That's why we have to teach our children the opposite of what everybody in school is teaching them today. The president is teaching our college graduates. It's not just other countries. It's not just China. It's not Cuba, which they've been taught isn't so bad. I don't want to live in Cuba, do you? It's not individual Americans, because individual Americans don't have the force of law behind them. If I don't have the force of law, I can't be a fascist. I can have fascistic tendencies, but I can't be a fascist because I can't force you to do anything. If Hitler's living next door, but he doesn't have control of the government and the media and everything else, Hitler's just a crazy neighbor that I don't want to live next to. Governments do things. Those governments have to be created, and then those governments have to be let go, and so the people allow that government that the people created to become bad. The people had to allow Andrew Jackson and that big government to follow manifest destiny that wiped Indians out. We had to allow Woodrow Wilson to round up the dangerous foreigners and naturalized American citizens, of German and Irish ancestry. The people had to allow slavery and segregation and Jim Crow laws. They had to allow FDR and the progressive icon to round up the Japanese through executive order and put them in an internment camp. We've heard forever the horrors of Jim Crow laws, but could we focus on just a second? It's the last word there in those three that give it power. Jim Crow laws. Written and, more importantly, enforced by a government. If we're not vigilant, who will stop Jim Crow laws from happening again?